welcome to this wonderful celebration of a great leader for this great institution. And my name is Wayne Riley. I have the honor of being one of Dr. LaRosa's successors. But today we're here to salute him. And that is the illustrious former president of this great institution who did so much for this institution and who, by the way, is a dear personal friend of me. My late father was very close to John, served as one of his senior advisors at Tulane Medical Center when John was chancellor. My mother sends her regards. The LaRosas are very highly thought of and loved in our family. So on behalf of the Rileys, congratulations. But first I want to put in context the unveiling of this portrait. Now I remember that there was one time when former President Bush went back to the White House and he joked with one of his friends. He says, "I'm going back from a hanging." And that is when President Obama unveiled his portrait at the White House. And that's typical George W. But the hanging of a portrait is an interesting experience. I've had it done once before at Meharry Medical College, where my portrait is now. And it's very strange, John, to look at something in painting that you say you look at every morning in the mirror. But it is a very special occasion, and I'm glad that many of the folks that you brought to this great institution are here. Some of our former students, former fellows, et cetera, who know about you and knew what you did for this institution. So it's my job to put it in context, put some color commentary around why we had this wonderful portrait artist do a great portrait of you. And I've seen a little preview of it. It nails you. But under Dr. LaRosa's leadership, this institution embarked on an unmistakable, exciting period of growth, change, revitalization, and expansion. And from day one, he had a vision. Dr. LaRosa had a vision to develop Downstate into a world-class academic medical center. And I say that he did a darn good job at it. Almost immediately, he took key steps to achieve that vision, and the campus resonated with renewed energy. There was a vibrancy that was palpable across all of our missions. In fact, the building in which we stand today is a result of Dr. LaRosa's vision to grow this campus and grow the facilities to serve our community. While he was president, new academic programs were added to better position Downstate for the future and for additional academic options for our students, residents, and trainees. Along with his wife, Judy, Dr. Judy LaRosa, and Dr. Pat Imparato, he successfully, in record time, transitioned to a fully realized School of Public Health from a program in public health. He launched an additional education programs of note, including the accelerated nursing, bachelor's degree in nursing, the master's program in health informatics, and the Doctor of Physical Therapy program in the School of Health Professions. And it didn't stop there, colleagues. In the School of Graduate Studies, a PhD program in biomedical engineering was launched with one of our key partners here in the city. On the clinical side, new construction revitalized emergency services, the Infant and Child Learning Center, labor and delivery, the NICU, and many other places in our University Hospital, Brooklyn. In terms of research took off under John LaRosa's watch. He, after all, was also a distinguished researcher who played a critical role in the development of medicines and medications we now as statins that have prevented many, many deaths and stroke because of the work that he did in the lab along with collaborators worldwide to bring Lipitor to market, one of the earliest and most effective HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors. Other programs that came about, robotic surgery. Our emergency center expanded from just an acute care center to a full-fledged emergency room that serves as the platform for the largest emergency medicine program in our country. And I know our dean and chairman of the ER is back there grinning because it happened with him and Dr. LaRosa. With Dr. Kramer, I see Dr. Kramer out there somewhere. I saw Eva, there she is. Dr. LaRosa created the first comprehensive plan for biotechnology in New York City, in Brooklyn, in our neighborhood, by creating our biotechnology incubator and bringing BioBat on Brooklyn's waterfront to reality in Senator Golden's district. And while Downstate has always been characterized by strong diversity, On President LaRosa's watch, the campus became even more representational of its community across staff, administration, and its student bodies. His collaboration with the Arthur Ashe Institute for Urban Health was strengthened. The Center for Health Disparities, developed with the Arthur Ashe Institute and the borough president's office, was launched. A series of report cards on Brooklyn's health was developed with our School of Public Health, which created a roadmap for improving the health of all New York City residents, particularly those who live in Brooklyn. Now, what many of you may not know, again, is that he's not just a gifted administrator. He's an outstanding medical humanist. He is a jazz aficionado. I sometimes run into him in some of the jazz places in town. Those of you know me, I love jazz in New York City. One of the benefits of being here, John, other than living in New Orleans, which he and I both did, is getting the chance to hear great music. And he is an accomplished jazz pianist. If you've not heard Dr. John LaRosa tickle the ivories, we'll have to find some venue for you to do so, because he is absolutely terrific. Before coming to Downstate, he had a terrific career at Tulane, as I mentioned, chancellor of the medical center there. Before that, he was dean of clinical affairs and vice president for research at George Washington University Medical Center, and then spent some time in Boston at the Brigham and his MD degree from Pittsburgh. And along the way, John has garnered the respect of so many in this great profession of medicine and academic health care, et cetera. So John, I salute you. You are an outstanding exemplar of what a president should be for this place or any place. And I'm honored to follow in your footsteps and to help you unveil this wonderful portrait today. Congratulations. I got to introduce Senator Golden. Now, you know, John would be the first person to tell you that he didn't do this, all this by himself. In fact, many of you were his accomplices. And on the public sector side and in government, one of the strongest backers we have ever had in Albany was State Senator Marty Golden. And I think it's fitting that Senator Golden, now that he's in a different phase of life, having served distinguished service in the New York Senate, is now working very strongly for the Diocese of Brooklyn with Catholic Charities. And I know a little bit about Catholic Charities. I chaired the Board of Catholic Charities in Houston, Texas, when I lived in Houston. So a great organization, does great work among immigrant communities, feeding the homeless, taking care of the least of these, as it's said. And so, Senator Golden, would you come up and give a few words on behalf of your friend?
Unprepared as I am, which is unusual, I will tell you that it is a great honor to have this portrait being hung here in this great institution. Ladies and gentlemen, and many of you probably do remember, this wasn't the greatest neighborhood in the world. This was very, very unsafe. This was very, very ugly right outside the doors of this building today and outside of Downstate and Kings County Hospital, which as a New York City police officer, I spent many, many a day going into that emergency room, and for both good reasons and bad reasons. But I got to tell you, over time, it has changed, and it's changed for the better. And today, this great institution, because of the foresight, ingenuity, the genius of John LaRosa, we have some of the greatest institutions here in the center of Brooklyn that could have never, ever happened if it weren't for his genius and his great, 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 great thoughtfulness and his vision. Vision, John, how could we ever put a biotech on the water? Think about that. What do you think about that, Eva? Huh? Who would have ever thought?
Who would have thunk it, right?
Right? But John, you did. And this institution was also a dream and a vision of yours. And I got to tell you, John, I may have been one of the legislators that worked towards achieving some of your goals and providing some of the tax dollars and the state funding that was necessary for that. But it was definitely your vision that convinced us to do it. Because to invest here some years ago, people would say, you know, is that really wise? Turned out to be one of the best decisions that this state has ever made. And John, the credit goes to you. And having a man like Wayne to fill your position, to be able to have the same vision, to be able to move forward, to be able to make a difference, not only for the people in this community, but for the people of Brooklyn and of the people of the city, state of New York, as well as those that come from around the world to get services here in this great city and here in Downstate. Thank you, both of you, for your vision. Thank you, John, for your great, you never gave up. You were like a dog with a bone. And I got to tell you, it worked. It worked well. So I congratulate you. I congratulate all of the staff and members and doctors here today for all of your commitment and the work that you put in to make this day a great, great day. But most of all, for making this beautiful building, this beautiful area of Brooklyn, as great as it is, providing the services that we need for many of the people around this great, great country. Thank you. Dr. Riley, thank you very much for this opportunity. And Dr. LaRosa, God bless you.
Now, again, John is very generous with people who work with and for him, and he will tell you that one of the proudest things he did was recruit some outstanding people here to work with him, to harness that vision and to make it a reality. And one of his key appointments was a selection of a dean of the College of Medicine, the largest school here in the university. And he attracted an outstanding dean who I knew very well, because Ian Taylor was the dean of Tulane University School of Medicine at the time of Hurricane Katrina. I was then vice president, vice dean at Baylor College of Medicine, and I remember that fall very well, fall of 2005 when Katrina hit. We were called to an urgent meeting by no other than Dr. Michael E. DeBakey, and he got the Baylor administrative team in a room and he said, "My alma mater, Tulane School of Medicine, is shut down. We cannot let a great American medical school go under." And so Ian will tell you, we took in Tulane University School of Medicine into Baylor College of Medicine. You remember, Ian, we even changed the doors. We put the Tulane seal on the door of your office. And that was a point of pride for Dr. DeBakey. Every time I saw him, he said, "Wayne, you did a good job putting that seal on the door." But Dr. DeBakey meant it because he knew what a great medical school Tulane was to him and to other people in New Orleans and Deep South. And we had the honor of working with Dean Taylor. And I was so delighted that you got him up here to continue his great work as one of the great deans of medicine in the United States. So Dean Ian Taylor, please come forward.
As you'll probably hear, there's quite a Tulane mafia here that John started, and I'm proud to be part of that mafia, although my wife's maiden name was Ferrari, so there is probably a bit of a connection there. I am honored to be asked to talk at this celebration of Dr. John LaRosa's many contributions to Downstate. It is also my opportunity to thank him publicly for his unwavering support during my 8 years as Dean and Senior Vice President for Biomedical Research and Education. Working for and with John was a distinct pleasure. He and I had served at different times at Tulane, where we both saw firsthand how schools of medicine and public health could benefit from a close working relationship. John wanted to reproduce that potentiating interrelationship here in Brooklyn when he established the School of Public Health at Downstate, a goal I fully supported. When he recruited me, he did not try to hide the significant issues that the School of Medicine faced, all of which predated his own appointment. John asked me to focus on improving the poor student morale and enhancing our research portfolio. LCME also expressed significant concerns about the school's facilities and curriculum. With John's help and support, the School of Medicine went from being on mourning over issues such as the long-standing inadequacy of our anatomy facility to being fully accredited by the LCME for the maximum number of years with no significant citations. In addition, we experienced a nearly fourfold greater increase in NIH funding when compared to all other state medical schools in the United States of America. None of this would have been possible without John's strong backing and support, for which I will always be grateful. His support went a long way to making my life as Dean and Senior Vice President both rewarding and successful. To reflect on the vast improvement in medical student morale during his time as president, I would like to quote from one of our graduating medical students from the last very successful LCME accreditation visit prior to my stepping down as dean. One of the site visitors was so impressed that she told me she would have given anything for one of her own students to have written such a statement. Amongst other things, this medical student wrote, "I got a great education at Downstate, but more importantly, I'm a much better person for being here." That student's quote reflects the great difference John has made to Downstate's educational mission, and I count myself most fortunate to have been at Downstate at the same time John LaRosa was its leader. Furthermore, I will be forever grateful to him for giving me the opportunity to lead a School of Medicine with such a strong commitment to both diversity and the care for the underserved. I might also say that my wife, June, is very grateful to you for bringing us to New York City. So she wanted me to say that, so I added that at the end. Again, thank you for everything you've done for the School of Medicine, for this institution, and for me personally. Thank you.
Now, every great organization sometimes has what I'll refer to humorously as a Batman and Robin. If John were the Batman, the Robin was Pascal James Imperato. And so much so, John, that I continued that tradition. When I got here, the dean had told me, maybe it's time for me to step down as dean. I said, well, what are you going to do? He says, I don't know. And I said, well, I got something for you to do. And he's now the Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs and doing a super job. And, but look, I've never seen a dyad like LaRosa and Imperato get things done as fast as they did. And I know this because I had the wonderful honor of speaking at the initiation of the master's degree program in public health. Remember, John, you and Pat invited me. And I was then at Baylor, and I came up and I spoke, and it seems like overnight it became a school of public health. And that's because of these two. And so, Dr. Imperato, I want you to come forward because you were a wonderful accomplice to the greatness that happened during John's tenure. So, Pat, please.
Am I Batman or Robin? I'm Robin. That's good. President Riley, President LaRosa, Senator Golden, and colleagues and friends. I first met John LaRosa in 1996 when I went to Tulane University Medical Center to give the commencement address before the School of Public Health and Tropical Medicine, of which I was a alumnus. So there are 4 of us in this room right now who are from Tulane. We'd like to see 6 to 10, actually. John was then the chancellor of Tulane University Medical Center. And when I was there, I described to him our frustrating efforts to create a Master of Public Health program here at Downstate. We had been working on it for several years and had not really made very much progress. But he took a great interest in this immediately. And I think in part because he oversaw the School of Public Health and Tropical Medicine at Tulane, and he knew of its great value in promoting wellness and preventing disease in a city like New Orleans. So when John LaRosa arrived here in 1999, he brought with him a new vision for Downstate's 21st century and a determined commitment to innovations in education, research, and clinical services. His vision included the launching of a Master of Public Health program. And I will never forget the day he told me, get on with it and do it. I don't think he knew who he was talking to quite then. And I took that bone in my teeth and ran. So in 2002, we admitted our first group of 12 students with a faculty of 6, including Dr. Judy LaRosa. She and I worked very closely together in doing this. We had never run a Master of Public Health program. Those poor kids didn't know what they were getting into. I mean, we were learning with them, but we succeeded. And with John LaRosa's support, the program rapidly grew, was nationally accredited in 2004, thanks to John LaRosa saying to me, when are you getting the accreditation? And I would say, soon, but it wasn't soon enough for him. Any event, in April of 2008, he presided over an academic convocation which marked the creation of the School of Public Health at Downstate, the first School of Public Health in the city of Brooklyn, or I should say the borough of Brooklyn, but the first public School of Public Health in the city of New York. And the keynote speaker was none other than a Tulane alumnus, of course, Dr. Wayne J. Riley, who was president and chief executive officer at Meharry Medical College. The School of Public Health was nationally accredited in 2010, reaccredited in 2015 for the maximum period of 7 years. It currently has an enrollment of 300 students. They told me you would never get more than 10 students in that school. We ignored them. And it has 750 alumni. In 2008, John LaRosa said to me, I have had a conversation with Senator Golden. And I said, what was the conversation about? He said, well, he's very interested in the idea of creating a new building, a School of Public Health building, in order to promote the training of public health specialists who can make an impact in our communities on wellness and prevention of disease. When Senator Golden returned to Albany, and in a very quick period of time, I mean, the two of them must have been working in concert here, I think, he mobilized senatorial, assembly, and gubernatorial support for the construction of a 100,000 square foot School of Public Health education building here at Downstate. And we are now on the ground floor of that magnificent building. All of us here at Downstate, Senator Golden, are deeply grateful to you and to all of those who helped you to make possible this wonderful educational space for Downstate students, faculty, staff, and visitors. Thank you very much. I I might add, this building opened, but I'm not here. I'm in my old office where I've always been. But that's okay. John LaRosa is a brilliant scholar, a research scientist, a dedicated physician, an innovator, an outstanding administrator. He has given Downstate a legacy comprised not only of the School of Public Health, but as you have already heard, of so many other initiatives that filled out his vision of what Downstate should become. But I want to point out, in addition, his legacy includes serving as an outstanding role model for high levels of commitment, dedication, integrity, and a keen sense of the rightness of things in the conduct of human affairs. John, it was a great honor for me to serve you when you were president of this medical center, and a great honor for me to be here for the unveiling of your portrait. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat. Again, the wonderful opportunity to have the voice of the faculty who served under and with John during the magical period of John's tenure. And we have a distinguished former chair of medicine, chief of cardiology, distinguished academic researcher, physician scientist in his own right, and that's Dr. Jeff Borg. Jeff worked very closely with John on many initiatives, so Dr. Borg, please.
An unexpected opportunity to speak. When I was offered the opportunity to come here, I knew that John was the president. I had met him at the NIH, where I had been before, going back to Cornell in Manhattan. And I thought, gee, any place that's run by that guy is going to be a good place. And I remember I came in and met him in his office, and he was just so nice. I said, this is where I have to go. I'm going to leave Cornell and I'll come here. Senator Golden remarked on the difficult area that this had become by the 90s, which is true. But I remember an earlier time, because I grew up 15 blocks directly north of here on President Street between Kingston and Albany. I went to high school across the street at George W. Wingate High School. So I remember when this area of Brooklyn was really very nice. Things changed, but they can come back, and they are coming back. And I think a large part of that is due to John's efforts in improving the activities here at Downstate. So thank you very much from me as well, and thank you, Dr. Riley. And everyone.
Well, I just thought about it. I just realized John didn't just have one Robin, he had two. And the chief operating officer under John was no other than the illustrious Ivan Lichnitz. And Ivan's here, and you know, John, I don't know how you have two Robins, but that's pretty impressive. So Pat took care of the academic stuff. And Ivan took care of the non-academic stuff to make sure that the academic stuff could flourish. And what a good trio they made. And so I apologize, Ivan. There were actually two of you who, quote unquote, were Robin's great accomplices to this great man. So please, Ivan, come forward.
Good afternoon, Dr. Riley, Dr. LaRosa, Senator Golden, Downstate officials, faculty, students, staff, guests, and most of all, friends. First of all, I want to say I'm not part of the Tulane Mafia. I'm not part of the Brooklyn Mafia either. But I am part of the city. I was born and raised in the Bronx, I know. A competitive borough, and yes, I am a Yankee fan, not a Dodger fan. So just to set the record straight. But I was fortunate to have met Dr. LaRosa shortly after he was being recruited, and I am pleased to be here to be part of this event to unveil the portrait of Dr. LaRosa, who is one of the longest-serving presidents of Downstate. During his time as president, he had many significant accomplishments to advance and enhance Downstate. I am pleased and proud to have been part of it and to have served under him and to have gotten his unwavering support. I've also been pleased to have him listen to what I had to say, many times not taking it, but listening, but many times taking it. And I think, personally, I'm better for that. I'd say every day he thought of what was best for Downstate. And certainly it was at the center of all the decisions he made, some of which you can see by just walking around this campus and this neighborhood. I was amazed. I hadn't been back here in a number of years, and on my way around the campus and through Brooklyn, I can see the improvements, the housing going up. If only I knew about the developments, we all could have really been very fortunate in being part of the development, but we're at the foundation of that development, which is much more important. John always thought of the students, and most importantly, the people. And seeing the crowd that is here today, it's representative of who John is. And one thing I'd like to say, I'd like to thank you for all you have done for Downstate. I'd like to thank you for your support, your guidance, and also learning a bit more about jazz, which is not quite something I like. I'm more in the 50s and 60s rock and roll is what I like, but there's still a place for us in this institution. And just, that Dr. LaRosa's portrait joins those of the other former presidents of Downstate. I thank you, and I'm pleased to be here, and thank you, Dr. Riley, for allowing me to say my piece.
Honored to have you back. Well, before we officially unveil the portrait, I think it's only fitting that we bring the portrait artist up. We found an outstanding portrait artist. And I remember having a conversation with you, Ellen. I said, Ellen, we got to do Dr. LaRosa's portrait. We got to find a great portrait artist. And Ellen Watson did. She found Miss Laurel Bach. And we looked at your portfolio of some of the distinguished luminaries that you've painted portraits of, and we were quite impressed. And so we want to thank you for your stand up and come give some few words of advice to us.
Hello. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ellen, for bringing me here. I just wanted to say one thing. I've gone to so many unveilings. This is the warmest, most heartfelt unveiling, and I just wanted you to know that it was such an honor to paint your portrait. And after hearing everybody's amazing speeches, it really touched me. So I'm so happy to have done your portrait. Thank you for choosing me. That's it.
So at this point, I'd like our honoree to come forward along with Dr. Judy LaRosa. Where's Judy running to? No? You're a part of this too. She's trying to take pictures for the grandkids. I know what she's doing. That's right. But I'll ask Dr. LaRosa to join us up here, along with his distinguished and lovely wife, to officially unveil it. Now, what we're going to do after the portrait is unveiled, we have a little reception next door. Is that right? And you can come and greet Dr. LaRosa, and please share your thoughts and kudos for him. We really want this to be a great celebration for him and for all of you. So let's do the honors, sir. On your count, you're a better musician than me.
1, 2, 3.
There we go. Then I'll get in, yeah. I'll get on this side. Try to get a smile. Well, please be seated. I forgot. Dr. LaRosa has to speak. Never a man for few words. But it is my high honor to introduce, for remarks, my distinguished predecessor, great physician, and what a great steward of this great university, Dr. John LaRosa.
I didn't know what this was going to be like, but I'm going to be insufferable. I mean, I'm going to be walking on air, looking in the mirror, changing the tie. There's just no way that I can thank you, Wayne, and thank all of you for coming. You know, I have to go all the way back to my internship at the Peterman Brigham Hospital, which is a Harvard teaching hospital, to tell you about how I first learned about Downstate. I was one of 14 interns. We used to work every other night and every other weekend. And 7 of the interns came from Harvard, and 7 of the interns came from everywhere else. So there was a fierce competition. I really didn't at that time understand how fierce the competition was. But I happened to partner off, kind of, with a particularly bright and very competent young physician. We worked every other night and every other weekend together. He knew everything about how to work in a hospital, everything. I was just flabbergasted. I had a teacher with me all night. You know, anytime a patient came in, anytime I didn't know how to do something, he knew how to do it, and he taught me how to do it. Do you know where that guy went to medical school? Downstate Medical Center. And I have, of course, I've never forgotten that. We are now still very good friends. But I've always had a sort of a place in my heart for Downstate because we take care of the toughest people around, and we have to give them the right kind of care, and we do. And I think more than anything, that's what Downstate is about. We don't, with all due respect to the Upper East Side, nobody gives us any money for this.
That'd be true.
And Wayne, as charming and as intelligent and as warm as he is, it's a big, tough deal to run Downstate. We are too far away, maybe not, I shouldn't say that. We're too far away from Albany, and we're one of a very large number of state institutions, but we are absolutely unique. This is a place that provides excellence every day to a group of people who simply wouldn't have access to it otherwise. And I know that the neighborhood's going to gentrify and all that sort of stuff, but the mission of this place is to take care of people who otherwise would never have the benefits of a real academic medical center. A place that nurtured a Nobel Prize winner. And in the memory of many of you in this room, did his work here, all of his work here. He didn't come here at the last minute. You know, there's a lot of medical schools that run out, recruit a Nobel Prize winner, And in fact, at Tulane, that's exactly what they did. We all worked together, and Dr. Furchgott was a very fine scientist, did extremely important work, but he worked at Downstate. He didn't work somewhere else. It's very difficult for us to make people understand what an academic medical center is, that we really are training the physicians and the scientists of the future. But we always had that mission. I trained with a guy who had that mission. He taught me probably all I ever needed to know about being functional at 3 o'clock in the morning. And all of that comes from what you all do every day. And you all teach every day. Our products are certainly good science and good patient care, but they're also good doctors and nurses and allied health providers and all of the things that we train. And for the 13 years that I was the president, I didn't have one day when I wasn't proud of that, and proud just to be part of it, as you all are. So I didn't know what Wayne had in mind. I thought maybe he was going to, give me the portrait and then give me the pink slip. Fortunately, that doesn't seem to have been the case, but in any case, there's a few people that I want to thank. First of all, I want to thank my wife, Judy. How she ever put up with me for all these years is beyond me. But we have traveled from Pittsburgh to Boston to Washington to New Orleans to New York. And wherever we went, she found out how to be a first class, whatever it was that she was doing then. And she's just been amazing because on top of being completely and utterly competent at whatever she does, she has been a wonderful partner and somebody that I could never imagine. When I met her, she was just a nursing student, and I was a predatory medical student.
Be careful now, it's Me Too movement.
Yeah, but we got married. So, Wayne, I thank you very much for this. I know Wayne because, as he pointed out, I knew his father. His father was a distinguished man, a man who must have been one of the very first people of African descent to practice medicine in the city of New Orleans. While New Orleans is a beautiful, wonderful place, there are some parts of New Orleans that are pretty rough. And his father was just a wonderful man. I got there and I knew that I had a lot to learn about the black community in New Orleans. And so I talked him into staying on the faculty. He was trying to retire. Right. And to teach me those things, and he did. And in the process, I met Wayne Riley, who, when I got very sick and needed some medical care in Houston, he was right there. And Wayne was right there in Houston. And I can tell you, having had Wayne as my doctor in the hospital, he's a terrific doctor. I mean, he is a really good doctor. And I feel blessed in so many ways to have been taken care of by Wayne Riley. Now, Wayne Riley, I'm sure from time to time wanted to take care of me. But he's a terrific guy, and I had something to do with his coming because I beat him to a pulp until he said yes. But he's a wonderful, honorable, intelligent, productive, visionary man, and we're very, very lucky to have him. I also want to, just for my sake, recognize one other person, many people, and that is my major domo. Aren't you going to stand up? When I came, I knew who I had. I had to get on my team, and I got him. And we worked together very, very well for all those years. And I miss him. And if I ever became the president somewhere again, he said no. Anyway, thank you all for coming today. I'm stunned, and the picture does me great credit. In fact, I gotta change that tie.
You look sharp.
Thank you, Wayne. Okay, now we can go on. So thank you all very much for coming, and I will turn it back over to
Thank you very much. Well, now's the time when you can all reach out and shake his hand, give him a hug. We have a little bit of celebratory food and beverage there. It's non-alcoholic because Pat Imperato is violently opposed to serving alcohol on campus, as I know. But anyway, you're not getting a pink slip, but you're getting pink punch today. So maybe, but we want you to come. Thank you so much for coming. What a great day at this great American Academic Health Science Center that has done so much for Brooklyn, New York City, the nation, and indeed the world. So thank you very much. Let's celebrate.